Hi, I am going to be making some tea cakes today. And these tea cakes are very good because they're relatively low in calories. And I'm going to show you how you can make them lower in calories even. These are the ingredients for the tea cakes. If we start here with our sugar, our egg, and 7/8 of a stick of butter. Now, if you wanted to reduce your cholesterol intake, you would use 2 egg whites, the whites of 2 eggs instead of the whole egg. All right? Now, we also have just 7/8 of a cup of sugar. But if you're diabetic or you would like to cut down some more on the sugar, you can use a 1/2 cup of sugar and replace the rest of the sweetness with about 1/3 cup of Splenda, if you needed to do that. Now, I'm putting in 7/8 of a cup, 7/8 of a stick rather, of butter. But you need not use butter. You could use 7/8 of a stick of a plant-based butter, such as I can't believe it's not butter. That way you would, again, cut some of the cholesterol, but the calories would be the same. Now, my dry ingredients are going to be all-purpose flour. Since it's all-purpose flour, you know you're going to have to use leavening agents. So this is 2 cups of all-purpose flour. This is going to be leavened with 1 teaspoon of baking powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And we're going to add a teaspoon of nutmeg for that additional rich flavor that you would get from the tea cakes. And what I normally do is to go ahead and add these dry ingredients. Just go ahead and mix them with the flour. So we're going to just quickly mix your leavening agents and the nutmeg together with the flour. So this leaves our wet ingredients, which would be low-fat buttermilk, vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon, and 1/4 of a cup of molasses, which is not, by the way, an empty calorie food, because this molasses has a good amount of iron. Molasses is the end product of the refining of sugarcane syrup. So this is the most nutritious portion of that sugarcane. So I have mixed the wet ingredients together. And by the way, this was a 1/2 cup of buttermilk, 1/2 cup, 1/4 of a cup of molasses, black strap molasses I like to use, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And you want to mix that nicely. It will separate, so when you get ready to add it to your dough to make a batter, make it more into a batter for your tea cakes, then you can just stir it a little bit more. Okay. So we will start now by creaming together the 7/8 cup of butter, or I can't believe it's not butter, with the 7/8 cups of sugar, or if you like, 1/2 cup of sugar and 1/3 cup of Splenda. So now I'm going to blend together the butter and the sugar. So now that I have creamed together the sugar with the butter, I'm going to add my egg. And just remember, if you're wanting to reduce the cholesterol, you would use the white of 2 eggs instead of a whole egg. Okay, now that the egg has been blended in, we can now start to add the flour mixture. That's the flour, the baking powder, the baking soda, and the nutmeg. And we will blend about 1/3 of it at a time, such that, and we want to blend this such that we end with flour. You always want to end with flour when you are baking cookies or a cake. And now we're going to use about 1/2 of our mixture of buttermilk, vanilla, and molasses. So we'll use about 1/2 of that. And start to blend again. And now we're going to add about 1/2 of the dry ingredients that remain. And return to the blending. Now we'll add the last of the liquid mixture. And now the remaining dry ingredients. Return to blend. Now we're ready to put our tea cakes on the cooking sheet and put them into the oven. Now, in order to make sure you have uniform tea cakes, you might want to just use an ice cream scoop. So I use one that I sort of fill halfway level, and then leave some space in between your cookies, such that you'd be able to put 4 of them longitudinally and 3 across. And you know you're going to end up with 12 nicely baked tea cakes in about 15 to 18 minutes. It depends upon how large you make these tea cakes. And should they run together, it's not a big problem. As a matter of fact, my mom used to prepare hers in a tin plate, and they would all run together, and then she would just kind of slice them, and they would still be just delicious. So this is how your uniform tea cakes would look as you put them into the oven. And we're going to come back in about 15 minutes and check them to make sure that they are just perfect doneness. So about 15 minutes have passed, and as you can see, we now have some golden brown tea cakes, all a nice uniform size with that spoon. So I'm going to just, we had put our cooking spray on this pan, so nothing should stick, and it doesn't. So as you can see, we have a nice brown bottom. I like my tea cakes to be very brown on the bottom, so that's nice. And these are ready to enjoy. They're best hot, but they're also delicious